this problem, I'm going to solve this system of equations using matrices. I'm going to do it by hand. Okay, so let's write down the matrices along with this. So I got 1, -3, 4, -8, 2, 1, 1, -5, 3, -4, 1, -1. First thing we want to do is we want to get a 1 here. Well, we have a 1 there. Then we want to get zeros below it. So you look at the 1 and you ask yourself, what do I multiply times this 1 that I can then add to this 2 to give me a 0 here? That'd be -2. So we'll take -2 times row 1 and we'll add that to row 2, and that's going to give us our new row 2. It'll always be the opposite number. So if this is 2, then you multiply by -2. If this is 3, multiply by -3, and so on. So first row carries down. -2 times 1 is -2 plus 2 is 0. -2 times -3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. -2 times 4 is -8 plus 1 is -7. -2 times -8 is 16 minus 5 is 11. Now we want to do the same thing here. We want to get a 0 here, so you ask yourself, what do you multiply times this 1 that you can then add to this 3 to get a 0? That'd be a -3. So we'll take -3 times row 1 and we'll add that to row 3, and that's going to give us our new row 3. So -3 times 1 is -3 plus 3 is 0. -3 times -3 is 9 minus 4 is 5. -3 times 4 is -12 plus 1 is -11. -3 times -8 is 24 minus 1 is 23. Okay, let me check all those. Okay, that looks good. So we got a 1 in this position, 0's below it. So we're going down our diagonal now. So now we want to get a 1 here. Well, we'll divide everything in that row by 7. So we'll take row 2, divide by 7, and that's going to give us our new row 2. So we got 1, -3, 4, -8. 0 divided by 7 is 0. 7 divided by 7 is 1. -7 divided by 7 is -1. 11 divided by 7 is 11 sevenths. And this row carries down. Okay, what we're doing now is, again, we're going down this diagonal, getting 1s here, then 0's below it. So now we have 1 here, so we want to get a 0 below it. So we ask ourselves, what do we multiply times the 1 that we can then add the 5 to get a 0? And that'd be -5. So we'll take -5 times row 2, and we'll add that to row 3, and that'll give us our new row 3. And just about there. Okay. So -5 times 0 is 0 plus 0 is 0. -5 times 1 is -5 plus 5 is 0. -5 times -1 is a +5 minus 11. Let me plug that in my calculator. -1 times -5 plus -11. -6. Why did I plug in such a simple calculation? This is my 3rd time working this problem. 2nd time I messed up in this number right here, so I'm really leery about that. Okay, so -5 times 11 sevenths plus 23. Math, enter. And we got 106 over 7. This is the mistake I made last night. I wrote down 107 over 6. I transposed some numbers. Okay, so we've got a 1 here, 0's below it. We've got a 1 here, 0's below it. Now we want to get a 1 here. So what we can do is we can multiply or divide everything in this row by -6. So we'll take row 3, divide by -6, is going to equal to our new row 3. You have to be careful when you're doing division involving fractions. If I'm plugging this in my calculator, well, let me get to that point first. 1, -3, 4, -8, 0, 1, -1, 11 sevenths. 0 divided by -6 is 0. 0 divided by -6 is 0. -6 divided by -6 is 1. 106 over 7 divided by -6. You won't put parentheses around a fraction when you plug it in your calculator. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it isn't. It's always a good idea when you're doing division involving fractions. Always put parentheses around a fraction. So I got parentheses around 106 over 7 divided by -6. Enter. And then I'll do math. Enter. And we've got -53 over 21. Now that's row echelon form. Row echelon form is where you got a diagonal 1, zeros below it. But we're doing Gaussian Jordan elimination, where we're doing an entire gamut. So we're not only getting zeros below it, we're going to get zeros above it. So I'm going to go back up on my diagonal 1s. Now we already have 1s here, so we don't have to do that. But now we want to get zeros above it. So you look at this -1 here, and you ask yourself, what do I multiply times this 1 that can then add to this -1 that would give me a 0 there? Well, 1, positive 1. So we'll take 1 times row 3, and we'll add that to row 2, and that's going to give us our new row 2. Remember, it's always the opposite number. This is a -1, so it'll be a positive 1. This is a positive 4, so this is going to be a -4 times row 3 plus row 1 is going to give us our new row 1. Okay, 0, 0, 1, -53 over 21. Okay, 1 times 0 is 0 plus 0, 0. 1 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1 plus -1 is 0. 1 times -53 over 21 plus 11 sevenths. I don't know, but I'm plugging in my calculator. Plus 11 sevenths. So -53 over 21 plus 11 sevenths. Gee, I about made a mistake again. I did 77 over 7. I'm determined not to be able to work this problem. Okay, -20 over 21. Okay, so now the -4 times row 3 plus row 1. So -4 times 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. -4 times 0, 0 plus -3 is -3. -4 times 1 is -4 plus 4 is 0. And -4 times -53 over 21 plus -8. Let's see what that gives us. So -4 times -53 over 21 plus the -8, 44 over 21. Okay, so again, we're working our way back up diagonal. We got a 1 here, zeros above it. We got a 1 here, we want to get zeros above it. So you ask yourself, when you multiply times this 1 that you can then add to this -3 to give you 0, and that'd be 3. So 3 times row 2 plus row 1 is going to give us our new row 1. Okay, so we got 0, 0, 1, -53 over 21. 0, 1, 0, -20 over 21. 3 times 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. 3 times 1 is 3 plus -3 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0 plus 0 is 0. 3 times -20 over 21. -20 over 21. So 3 times -20 over 21 plus 44 over 21. Math enter. Gives us -16 over 21. Let me double check that. Okay. Now we got our diagonal 1s, zeros everywhere else in this first 3 by 3 square. 3 equations, 3 variables. Your first 3 by 3 should be the diagonal 1s, zeros everywhere else. That means it worked. And this will be x, this will be y, and this will be z. So our answer is negative 16 over 21, negative 20 over 21, negative 53 over 21.